Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're getting into something really interesting that came straight from one of you listening.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
You sent over some clips from the DJ Roundtable discussions, couple of episodes, plus some raw audio.
Okay, got it.
And the mission here is to really understand the difference, between DJs charging, say, $500 to $800, the maybe bargain guys, and the ones asking for $2,000, $2,500, sometimes more.
Right. It's a big gap.
Exactly. And it's not just about the money itself, is it? It's about what you're actually getting for that price.
Absolutely. That's the core question from these discussions, really.
Yeah.
Is that price difference just someone deciding, hey, I'm going to charge more?
Hmm.
Or does it actually point to real, like, tangible differences in how they look, how they sound, the music they play, their setup, their professionalism overall?
Yeah, professionalism, that's a big one. So let's start with DJ Brenly. He shared his story, right? How he used to charge something like $800 for a whole day.
Yeah, he mentioned being, afraid of missing gigs if he charged more.
Right. And now he's pulling in six figures consistently every year. So, okay. What happened there? What was the turning point for him?
Well, what's really interesting is that his jump to six figures wasn't just about, getting better decks or flashier lights or something.
Okay.
It was a fundamental mindset shift, especially about weddings. He stopped seeing it as just playing music for a party.
Uh-huh.
He realized these are massive, emotionally significant events. So his focus shifted hard towards customer service, being super detail-oriented, really getting the weight of the day for the clients.
It makes sense.
And he made this point that the lower-priced DJs, often they just don't have that full understanding. They might treat it more like beer money, is the phrase he used.
Beer money.
Yeah. So Brenly's success, you could argue, came from understanding that higher-priced DJs, they're selling peace of mind. They're selling a whole meticulously planned experience, not just background noise.
Peace of mind. I like that. And this ties into the equipment discussion, doesn't it?
Does.
Brenly said, even way back when he was charging less, his basic setup is still better than what he sees from a lot of the $500, $800 guys today.
Mm-hmm. He even told that story, the one about the DJ bragging about using Halloween lights.
Oh, yeah. From Menards, was it?
Yeah, I think so. Which is, I mean, kind of unbelievable for a professional event, right?
Totally. And Mike jumped in on that too, reinforcing that the quality of the gear isn't just about looks.
Exactly. It's reliability. It's the overall professional image. I mean, think
Yeah.
about it. If you're hiring someone, you want confidence that their stuff isn't going to, cut out during the first dance.
Right. Or just look junky in the corner of your nice venue.
Precisely. So that price difference, it often reflects actual investment in professional infrastructure, good
Yeah.
sound, reliable gear that directly impacts your event.
Brenly also mentioned something about generational shifts, Gen Z and Gen Alpha.
Yeah, that was insightful. He felt younger generations prioritize quality more. They expect things to be seamless, high quality. They're maybe less focused only on the cheapest price.
Mhm. Interesting. So does that mean the market might be shifting towards value and quality more?
It could suggest that, yeah.
Yep.
I mean, budget's always a factor for someone, obviously. But Brenly's point hints that maybe a growing chunk of the market is willing to pay more for that assurance, that polished professional feel. It's a potential shift in perceived value.
Okay. And they also talked about the difference between someone just starting out versus someone established, right? Like,
Yeah.
okay, you're new, maybe your gear isn't top of the line yet, you're still learning. That's one thing.
Totally understandable. You got to start somewhere.
But that example of the guy choosing to buy like hardware store lights when he's presumably been doing it a while and could invest more, that feels different.
It really does. It suggests a conscious choice about where they're putting their money or maybe where they're not putting it.
Yeah.
It says something about their commitment to, professional standards and what they think a quality experience involves.
Okay, let's switch gears a bit to DJ Dwayne. He started out cheaper too, right? Like $500, $600.
Yeah, he did. And his reasons were pretty practical. It reflected his skill level back then, apparently, and also what his mentor was paying him when he was shadowing.
Oh, okay.
Plus, he wanted the gigs, wanted the experience, without, scaring people off right away with a high price.
Makes sense. A common starting strategy, probably.
Seems like it.
Yeah.
Balancing getting work with being realistic about what you can deliver at that stage, building it up.
But Dwayne also had thoughts on why other DJs charge more, the higher prices.
Right. He mentioned bigger DJ companies. They've got real overhead.
Like what kind of stuff?
Photo booths, big lighting rigs, multiple sound systems, maybe an office, and staff.
Hmm.
You got to pay your people.
True. All those costs add up.
Exactly. So when you see a higher price from a bigger outfit, it's not always just pure profit. It often reflects the cost of running a more complex business offering more services. That's just business reality.
But here's a key point Dwayne made, and it's important. He said some lower-priced DJs are actually really, really good, super skilled.
Yeah, that's crucial. He emphasized that. And conversely, you might pay a lot and not get amazing mixing skills.
So price doesn't always equal skill.
Not directly, no.
Yeah.
He said sometimes it just comes down to what the client's willing to pay or the specific vibe they want. Some people might not care about intricate mixing.
Good point. It highlights that you, as the client, need to look beyond just the price tag and figure out what your priorities are.
Definitely. Do your homework.
Dwayne also talked about his own growth, right? Upgrading gear over time.
And he mentioned the rising costs of like software subscriptions, other business expenses. They just keep going up.
Yeah, tell me about it.
And that obviously feeds into what you need to charge to just stay afloat, let alone grow. It shows that as you develop, those costs climb, and pricing has to reflect that for the business to be sustainable.
And speaking of costs, insurance came up.
Ah, yes.
It's
Insurance,
another one of those things that maybe the super budget guys might skip.
it's possible, but it's a huge deal. It's non-negotiable for a legit business.
Hmm.
Protects the DJ, protects the client.
Protects the venue often.
Exactly. It's a cost, yeah, but it shows professionalism,
Yeah.
responsible business practice.
Okay, then DJ Sean jumped in. He had some really practical insights, especially for event planners.
Yeah, Sean's perspective was great. He pointed out that some of these really low-priced DJs, maybe they're just hitting play on Spotify.
Basically a human jukebox.
Kind of. Or maybe they're just hobbyists, Limited availability, not much experience actually planning the flow of an event.
Right, not really running it like a business.
Exactly.
Mm.
And Sean stressed the cost of running that legitimate business. The insurance we just mentioned, proper DJ software, music subscriptions to legal record pools. All that adds up and influences the price of established pros.
It paints a picture of the difference between a side hustle and a real accountable business.
Totally. And as a client, knowing the difference matters.
Sean also mentioned something about event flow, like weddings.
That more experienced, often higher-priced DJs, they could just run the event smoothly. They know the timing, the transitions. They don't need a planner holding their hand every step.
That's a huge value add. Less stress for the planner, less stress for the couple.
Absolutely. It's that experience, that deep understanding of how events unfold. That's part of what you're paying for.
They also referenced a video by Brian Ezrod about knowing your costs.
Yeah, the importance of understanding your cost of doing business CODB before you set prices. Basic business sense, really, but crucial.
Crucial for any service business, not just DJs.
For sure. You need to know what it costs to open the doors, metaphorically speaking, before you can figure out what to charge to make it worthwhile and sustainable.
And we chimed in there too, didn't we? Talking about tech costs.
We did. Things like virtual DJ licenses, they seem small month to month maybe, but they add up.
And investing in better gear, good mics that don't cut out, reliable sound systems that cost money over time as you grow.
Yep. Technology moves fast. Staying current, offering better quality and reliability. It requires ongoing investment, and that has to be factored in.
Now, DJ Hunter's situation was really unique.
Yeah, quite different. He prices hourly, around $50 an hour.
And apparently that's partly because of limitations tied to disability benefits, which affects his total earnings.
Right. So despite feeling he has the skills of a higher-end DJ in his area, his pricing is constrained by external factors.
It really drives home that point again. Price isn't always a simple reflection of skill or value. Personal circumstances can play a huge role.
Absolutely. A powerful reminder not to judge purely on the price tag.
But interestingly, Hunter mentioned he can still handle multiple setups, like for ceremony, cocktails, dancing.
Yeah, he clarified he has the gear flexibility for that, even with his pricing model. So he's still thinking about the practical needs of different events.
Good clarification. So we circled back then to that key idea. Skill varies wildly at all price points.
Yep. Can't stress that enough. You can find amazing talent for less, and you can pay a premium for someone who maybe isn't the best fit skill-wise.
It really puts the onus on the client to research, ask questions, maybe see them perform if possible.
Definitely. Due diligence is key.
The discussion also hit on something psychological, the fear DJs have about raising prices.
Oh, yeah. That's a real thing. Fear of losing gigs they might otherwise get.
But the flip side was mentioned too, that raising prices might actually attract different clients.
Right. Clients who aren't just bargain hunting, but who value quality, professionalism, and see the higher price as an indicator of that. It can be a positioning strategy.
It's about perceived value again.
Exactly. Sometimes a higher price signals confidence and attracts people looking for that assurance.
And Sean really framed it as overall value.
Right.
He argued that higher-priced DJs often deliver more value because of the whole package.
The skills, yeah, but also the experience managing events, the professionalism, the better tools, the smoother planning process. It all adds up.
You're investing in the outcome, not just the hours they're playing music.
Precisely. Peace of mind, reliability, a higher chance of everything running smoothly and being memorable for the right reasons.
There was also that quick point about DJs not getting a gig.
Ah, right. Following up for feedback.
Yeah. Even if you don't book them, if they follow up asking why. That shows professionalism, right? That desire to improve.
Totally. It's a sign they're serious about their business and client perceptions. Valuable insight for them, even if it's tough to hear sometimes.
Then the conversation shifted to time investment, especially for weddings.
Oh, this is a big one. Often invisible to the client.
Right. That informal poll they did, DJs spending 10, 20, sometimes more hours just on prep before the wedding day.
Yeah. Meetings, emails, custom music searches, timeline coordination with other vendors. It's a ton of work.
So when you pay a wedding DJ, you're not just paying for the 5 or 6 hours they're physically there, you're paying for all that back-end work too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That hidden labor is a massive factor in why comprehensive wedding DJ services cost what they do. It's essential for a personalized, smooth event.
DJ Jeff then brought in a really necessary dose of perspective.
Yeah, Jeff's point was important. He basically said, hey, there's a real market for less expensive DJs too.
And it's valid, right?
Totally valid.
Yeah.
Think about smaller events, maybe lower overall budgets, like a $5,000 wedding or a second marriage that's more low-key.
Not everyone needs or wants or can afford the absolute top tier.
Exactly. And Jeff pointed out, some clients just want good, recognizable music played reliably. They might not care about super complex mixing or elaborate emceeing. They just want people to have fun.
So it's about matching the service level and price to the specific event and client needs.
Perfectly put. There's room for different levels in the market.
And building on that, the influence of the local market came up again.
Hugely important. DJ prices aren't set in a vacuum. Cost of living, average event spend in that city or region, how many old DJs are around.
Right. What flies in Chicago or LA is going to be way different from, say, rural Alabama.
For sure. The examples they gave really illustrated how much location impacts pricing norms.
Which led to the idea that DJs need to educate potential clients.
Explain why their price is what it is, what goes into it, what's the value proposition.
Because often clients just don't know all the factors we've been talking about. They just see a number.
Right. So transparent communication helps clients understand the differences and make an informed choice based on value, not just price alone. If you're hiring, don't be afraid to ask them to break it down.
And just to hammer it home, the cost of doing business varies by location, too.
Yeah. Rent, insurance, gas, even software can cost differently depending on where you are. So DJ's break-even point will differ.
Okay, let's bring in DJ Chris. He started way back in '98.
Yeah. Tons of experience there.
And he emphasized that seasoned DJs, they sweat the small stuff, the details, making sure everything the client wants actually happens.
That comes with time and seeing hundreds of events, I imagine. Knowing what can go wrong, how to anticipate needs.
He also sort of connected lower pricing with DJs who are maybe still figuring out their worth. Charging what they think they're worth rather than their true market value based on skills and experience.
That's an interesting take. The confidence factor, maybe, or just still being in that growth phase like Drain mentioned earlier.
Chris also echoed Jeff's point about matching the service to the event.
Right. Is it just play this list? Or is it full service planning and execution? Those require different approaches and different pricing.
Makes sense. Then multi-op companies came up again.
The ones with multiple DJs, higher costs again, payroll, training.
Yeah, and the point was made that quality can vary sometimes within those companies.
It can. Joe chimed in saying reputation is absolutely everything for a multi-op. They need that consistency to succeed.
Good point. Okay, DJ Matt. He focused on MC skills and presentation.
Two big differentiators, especially at higher price points. Being a good MC is a distinct skill from just playing music.
Definitely. And the look of the setup. Matt acknowledged maybe not every client inspects the gear closely.
But generally, especially for weddings or corporate gigs, a clean, organized, modern setup looks way more professional.
It adds to the overall impression. First impressions matter.
For sure. Matt also mentioned seeing skilled DJs working for multi-ops who could probably charge more if they went independent.
Interesting dynamic there.
Yeah, the trade-off between steady work from a company versus building your own brand and potentially earning more per gig.
We then kind of expanded on that equipment point.
Mm-hmm. Investing in newer, better stuff isn't just about functionality.
Right. It looks better, sounds better, often works more efficiently, maybe has better backup options.
And that visual difference between a sleek, modern setup and older, maybe kind of clunky-looking gear, it definitely impacts perception.
Yeah, it sends a message about professionalism and attention to detail.
Totally.
And then the conversation circled right back to the core idea of running a DJ service as a real business.
The fundamentals. Knowing your numbers, paying your taxes, planning for expenses, treating it seriously.
Like being an employee of your own company, in a way, ensuring it's sustainable.
Exactly. And Sean's new DJ Biz School channel got a shout out for helping DJs with that side of things.
Cool resource. Okay, and then just some quick show updates at the end.
Yeah, plugs for Dwayne and Mikey Mike show, Sean's new one, Hunter show returning, and Joe's new product, that platform thing.
Right, the booth platform. Another way to enhance presentation.
Shows the community aspect, DJs sharing tools and knowledge.
Okay, so wrapping this all up. What we've heard in this deep dive makes it pretty clear, doesn't it? That price difference between DJs, it's way more complicated than just a number.
Oh, absolutely. It's a whole blend of things. You've got experience level, actual mixing or emceeing skills.
The quality of the gear and how much gear they need for your specific event.
Right. Then there's the service level, how much planning is involved, how much hand-holding.
Plus the real costs of just running a legit insured business. That stuff adds up.
Don't forget the time, all those hours of prep we talked about.
Huge. And then overlay all that with what the client actually needs and can afford, plus what the local market dictates. It's complex.
It really is. So maybe a final thought for people listening. When you hire any service provider, not just a DJ, what are you really prioritizing? Is it just finding the rock bottom price? Or do you look deeper? Do you consider their expertise, their track record for reliability, the overall experience they seem likely to provide?
That's a great question, because this whole DJ pricing thing, it really mirrors so many other service industries, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. Understanding these underlying factors, the hidden costs, the value of experience, the business realities, it can help you make smarter choices pretty much anytime you're hiring someone for anything.
We really hope this deep dive has given you, listening, a clearer picture of that whole DJ world. What part of this conversation stood out most to you?
Yeah, or do you still have questions about pricing, or maybe what really makes an event successful?
We genuinely love to hear your thoughts. Let us know.